Hi everyone, this is Penny from penny-astrology.com, and today I am going to explain how to find your solar return chart. And then after I show you how to find it, I'm going to go a little bit into how to read a solar return chart and how you can interpret that and find out what it actually means about that year of your life. So the solar return is different from the birth chart in that you have a different chart for every birthday of your life. So whatever's going on for you that year of your life, the solar return chart is going to represent that. So it's a nice report to be able to get for someone on their birthday, or if you're going to do it yourself, it's a nice little gift for someone. So I'm going to type in my own information here. The website I'm using is astro.com. So you can either sign in as a guest to this website or you can create an account. Today I'm just using a guest account. Just enter in all of your information as you would normally. Okay, there we go. And we're going to go to the extended chart selection. And then from the drop down, it's actually going to make me redo this if I remember right. We're going to find the solar return chart. So since this chart has a little star by it, that's a dead giveaway that we have to go into the chart settings and change the date. So it says right here, for charts that have the star in it, you need to select the date. And oh gosh, I think they changed it recently, but you also, for the solar return chart, you also need to modify the location. So let's try this right here. Don't use the birthplace unless that's where you celebrated your birthday. So wherever you had your birthday for the year we're going to look at, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to look at Pflugerville, Texas for 2014. That's where I celebrated my birthday. So if you perhaps went out of town for your birthday, but you still woke up in the town that you were living in at the time, I would say whatever town you're in at the exact minute of your natural birth. So for example, I was born at 8:41 a.m. So where was I 8:41 a.m.? I was in Pflugerville. So that's what I put for there. All right, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to select solar return chart. And then I'm going to put my birthday. But I'm going to change the year to the year that I want to look at. So I'm going to look at my birthday for 2014. And then if you want to add asteroids, you can do that. These are some of the asteroids that I usually like to add. There's other asteroids that I look at times too, but those are just some of my favorites. All right, so this is my solar return chart. And this is basically what things looked like on that day on August 11th of 2014. And the rising sign here would change depending on where I celebrated my birthday. So for future reference, if you decide that you want to be able to change your solar return chart just a little bit, then you can go ahead and celebrate your birthday perhaps out of town, go visit family, go visit friends or relatives or whatever, and it'll change the rising sign for your solar return, probably at least by a little bit, but it depends on how far you actually go. So for this year of my life, I had Sagittarius rising. So the rising sign tells us a lot about the theme for the year. It doesn't really change your personality for the year that much, but it might a little bit. Like, for example, I was more focused on opening myself up to new opportunities that year. It was a very adventurous year for me. And I actually had recently moved to a new location. And if I'm not mistaken, I ended up moving again a second time before my next birthday. So the theme for a Sagittarius rising solar return year would have a lot to do with travel, adventure, freedom, seeking new opportunities, and it could have a lot to do with education as well. But then we also have to look at the houses. And as you've learned from my How to Read a Natal Chart videos, you can see that each house kind of represents a different area of life. So over here in the 9th house, we have higher education and travel. So that's also going to give us more information about what types of travel or education were happening that year. Now, even though I said I ended up moving a second time that year, it wasn't like long distance travel or anything like that. It was just moving to the next town over. So there's nothing actually in that chart. I did not further my education at all that year, so there was nothing going on here. But I did actually meet a lot of new people, which is why you're seeing that kind of stellium in the 3rd house. So you can tell what was going on in their life based on what's in each house. For career changes, you're going to see something coming up in the 10th house. For health things, you're going to see something coming up in the 6th house over here. You can find out information about marriages not only by looking at the 7th house, but also by looking at this asteroid Juno that I have brought up. And I have a separate video for how to find Juno, even though it's kind of already low-key included within this own video. If you need more information on that, I have a whole video series on Juno. I also have a video series on Venus, which is pretty popular. But yeah, then you can see another thing that I really like to look at, like your sun sign's going to be the same every solar return, because that's what the solar return is. It's the sun returning to the point that it was at the time of your birth. Now the house it's in is going to be different, which again kind of shows you what kinds of things you were focusing on this year. So the 8th house, I would say what that meant for me is there were a lot of kind of karmic cycles and a lot of things that came full circle for me that year. And the 8th house, especially when it has Leo planets in it, it's a very, very dramatic place. So that tells you more about what kind of year I had back in 2014. And then you can also see where I had the moon sign. So if I remember right, I felt so emotional this year because I had that moon in Pisces conjunct Neptune. I felt super in tune with everything and everyone else. I was very psychically open to things that were happening. So that's how having that kind of moon in Pisces affected me that year. It was also a great year for me to further my career as an astrologer, for me to do my work within the psychic industry, because astrology is part of the psychic industry. And then you can see I had my Mars in Scorpio in the 11th house. So that, and also having my Venus in Cancer that year, it means that I kind of formed like a lot of like really strong connections with people. I met some new people, and I had some new people coming into my life who I formed lasting bonds with. And friendship was a big focus for me that year, because I have 2 planets and then also 2 other bodies all in my 11th house for that year. So that's kind of how you do it. That's how you can figure out what someone's year is going to look like. Another thing people like to do is they like to go back to the other page, and then they like to compare it to the natal chart. Now, if you already know the natal chart like the back of your hand, which for me, at least with my own natal chart, I do know it like the back of my hand, then looking at this isn't as necessary because you already know what the natal chart looks like anyway. But this can be a useful tool for comparing things and making predictions about, what big life-changing significant events are actually going to happen in this year of your life. So that should help you if you are trying to learn how to read a solar return chart. And if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And check out some of my other videos if you need more reference on how to read astrological charts. And I hope to see you again soon. Keep in mind, my website is penny-astrology.com. Feel free to visit me anytime you want, and have a great rest of your day. Bye!